Suicide Squad, like I said at the top of the show, divisive. It's got a 26% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's got a 7.1 fan score, which most of those reviews were written before the movie came out, but we'll excuse that. And it's making millions and millions of dollars. It's breaking August records.
Yep.
What'd you think?
Man, this is the greatest movie ever made.
Really?
I'm just kidding.
Thanks
It
for
was
coming.
bad.
It was really bad.
What do you feel like you were able to enjoy parts of it better because you're closer to the source material, or you felt that it was kind of almost worse because you knew things better? Like, you know what I mean?
I think no matter what your exposure to the comics might have been before the movie, it got a lot of things wrong. Well, I don't want to. It did a lot of things that it could have done a lot better. They messed this movie up.
Okay, so I noticed your tweets when you first got out of the film weren't entirely negative, but it seems like the more you thought about it, the more you didn't like.
That's true. I got out of the movie going like, okay, well, that's not the garbage fire that Batman v Superman was.
Yes.
That was okay. But the more I thought about it, the less sense that it made.
Okay, so let's run through it real quick. The Joker. Did you like him or no?
No, that's the worst Joker that's ever been on film.
Okay.
Which, hey, good job, all that method acting, Jared Leto. That's what it resulted in.
No, do you think that's something that could have been rectified with more scenes? Because apparently he got a lot of scenes cut and he was really pissed off about it. Do you think that like adding more of a thing you didn't like would have made the whole film better?
The thing that bothered me about the Joker, like, he was completely extraneous to the plot of the movie.
Yeah, sure.
And the way that this is one of the most iconic pop culture characters, I think, of all time.
Yeah.
And they just sort of are like, here he is in a straitjacket just leering at this woman. That's how they introduce him.
Okay.
It's not...
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I met you. No, so just for context, does the Joker come into play in Suicide Squad in the comics?
You see his part of kind of Harley Quinn's backstory and whatnot in the more recent comics.
I mean, Harley Quinn's a recent enough character. She's 1991? 92 in the animated series.
Right.
So she's not a classic Suicide Squad character at all.
Okay.
She's been a mainstay in it since their relaunch in 2011, though.
So, I mean, obviously they had to shift some things around to make certain characters the star of this film. The Joker, Deadshot, Harley Quinn were obviously pushed front and center. Mostly
Deadshot, that's legit. He's one of the stars of the squad.
Did you like Will Smith in the movie as Deadshot?
I thought he was funny. I think I can get off into the weeds about how they humanized that character a little too much.
Right.
But I was pleasantly surprised by him.
So what did you think of Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn?
She was great.
She was great.
She's great.
So there's some positives here, right?
Some of the there are little moments you can look at to be like, oh, it's funny when Deadshot said the thing, or they're just little moments. They're like, that's cool.
It made some great trailers.
And it made excellent trailers.
So that's kind of the way I've been describing this. Is sort of it feels like going to a buffet where you're like, well, there's French fries and there's pizza and there's Chinese food, and you're like, I like all of those things individually, but like we're like, were the French fries the best French fries you've ever had? No, not really. Was the pizza good? No, it wasn't good. But it was a combination of a lot of interesting, well shot, and sometimes cool or funny moments that didn't really come together as a whole film.
When you look at the big picture of this film and its structure and how it kind of treats the squad, it's just not, the finished product is not good.
So what were your problems with the plot specifically?
Well, my biggest problem is that the movie fundamentally botches the concept of the Suicide Squad.
What is the concept of the Suicide Squad?
The Suicide Squad is a group of supervillains that are sent by the government on covert, high-risk, international political missions that the U.S. government does not want to be implicated in.
Okay.
So in the very first comic, they send them to basically fight DC equivalent of superpowered Al-Qaeda. Because they're going to blow up an airport and kill the president.
Yep.
We're going to send them in quietly.
So it's a little bit like Snake Plissken from Escape from New York. Or
it's very much
Big
that.
Boss in Metal Gear Solid, other Snake.
Mission Impossible, Dirty Dozen, it's that kind of scenario.
It's like 12 dudes who are all escaped from New York.
Right.
Yeah.
And this one dude who's like their babysitter.
Right. Right.
And in the movie, they take these guys and they're like, okay, you got to go fight the supervillain, and they send them in with a team of trained soldiers.
Okay.
So I don't understand why instead of sending the man who throws boomerangs and the crazy woman with the bat, you don't just send in 10 more guys with guns.
Well, okay, so to be totally honest, I think this movie had a major villain problem in that it didn't really establish a villain well. Enchantress just sort of started messing things up, and her brother Incubus, who isn't really truly named outside of a half a second.
Right.
And then the idea of taking this like ancient Mayan god and her brother, and sending a crazy bipolar woman with a baseball bat and a crocodile man in a hoodie who doesn't really do anything to take her down. It doesn't really make any sense.
I mean, the villain is basically like, the humans don't like us anymore because they got iPhones. So we're just gonna sit here in this Mega Man boss robot room and spawn bad guys until everybody gets here to fight.
Yeah.
The villain doesn't do anything.
Well, and that's a problem when you don't have a good characterization or a threat or a reasoning from a villain or from the opposition, the protagonist or the antagonist. None of them really have a clear direction. You're left with just a bunch of like scenes that equal a film that just ends.
Scenes happen.
So, for people who maybe like the idea of Suicide Squad, the movie didn't really do it for them. Where do they go? What's your number one recommendation for new fans to the fans of the series, fans of the idea?
Well, I have this right here for you.
Oh, look at that! It's almost like we
Up at
sort of
noon.
planned this show.
It's brought to you by DC Comics.
No,
That's not true.
No,
That's not
it's
true.
not.
Hey,
It's
yes,
not.
They're pretty mad at us
They'd
right
be
now.
really
honestly.
pissed off.
Yeah,
No.
they
Okay,
watch
no.
this show. I
So-
don't think
Brought to
we
you
have
by Pizza Whistles. It says it right there.
So this comic, this is Suicide Squad Rebirth #1. This
Okay.
came out a couple weeks ago at this point, and this is the single greatest issue of Suicide Squad in at
Really?
least the past 8 years.
So that's awesome then, because
This, if you want a look at what the Suicide Squad can be, this is a perfect, like, crystallized 22-page story that will show you its potential.
So we kind of have the movie to thank for this rebirth in Suicide Squad, which led to your favorite comic. So that's actually kind of cool.